oh, it's quite late. It's Thursday night. I say it's late, it's like 10 to 9. I'll come out to put chickens in bed, but they're not in bed yet. Probably because it's not bloody dark yet. But that means I'll have to take kids upstairs and remember to come back down to the chickens in a bit. So if they start walking across the background, that's, you know, they're meant to be in bed. So I saw something today, well, while I was washing up, and I wanted to write a Facebook post about it, but I'm that knackered, I can't bother. And then I thought, well, I could do a YouTube video about it. But my gardening collabs and my Patreon videos are filmed in real time. But my YouTube videos, because I've been trying to do it a new way over the last year, you know, where they're like voiceovers, there's so many weeks ahead. I think I filmed up to like middle of July. So I thought, well, I could do it for then, but I'm halfway through filming another one. I was like, I'll forget. And this will probably sound sour grapes, and it is a bit sour grapes, but in 2 months' time, I'll have been doing YouTube for 8 years. And it is disheartening when you see people who don't upload as often, or they don't put as much effort in, or, you know, they put crap on, frankly, and their channels just go whoo, and you're clawing your way up every subscriber, trying your best. I mean, I said I wasn't going to kill myself over YouTube anymore. I've done the whole uploading several times a week. I've done the collabing with anyone who collabed with me. I've done the trying to hit on trends. I've done the warts and all, saying everything about my life. And my YouTube mileage is still like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And my mum, I was moaning about it to my mum because I was saying to her, I don't know if I ought to just jack it in, because my big audience is on Facebook anyway, and I've been doing this for nearly 8 years, and I've got my Patreon. Love my Patreon because, you know, it's like a video diary. I can say what I like on there, and the support with what's going on in the court case at the minute, it's really given me somewhere to just go and be myself and talk and stuff. So I was like, just jack YouTube, or just stop putting effort in every single week and just upload every whenever. And my mum was like, you're doing well there, you're at 930 subscribers. I said to her, I don't get excited about subscribers anymore, because as soon as they come, they go again. You know, I couldn't make it more clear what the channel's about. Every single video I say what the channel's about. I said to her, it won't say 930, it won't. And it didn't. I put my gardening collab on, and I thought that were an alright video, because you got a couple of clips of the Black Country Living Museum, and you got the garden, and you saw the cat and the dog and the chickens, and I thought it was quite a nice video, to be fair, for me. Lost 2 subscribers. I was like, fuck you. Can't be arsed tonight. I'm going to just say how it is tonight, and if you don't like it, tough. And I'm all spotty, look. So anyway, I thought, since I'm going to lose subscribers, whatever, I might as well do an old school video like I used to back in the day, when something's riled me up a bit, and I just switch the bloody camera on and say what I like. So the first thing is a loose women video come up randomly on YouTube while I'm washing up, and my hands were wet, so I couldn't flip it off. And it was called something like Stay-at-home mums and no child spaces, are we going back? So the first topic was Nigel Farage, and this isn't a video getting into Nigel Farage. I don't want the comments full of people who agree, people who don't agree with him. It's not about Nigel Farage, really. When Nigel Farage had said, one of his promises, or according to Loose Women, one of his promises was to encourage British people to have more babies. If they were to get in charge, they'd get rid of the 2-child benefit cap, and they'd, what was the other thing? Tax breaks, I think. Anyway, because most women, if they had the choice, would choose to stay at home with their kids, and it would make it easier. Now, I see, you have to be careful because folk get so triggered. I'm not against working mums, and I'm not saying that all women should want to stay at home with the kids, and I'm not saying that a big reason a lot of people don't have kids is because they're worried about the childcare costs when they go back to work, they can't afford it, and yada yada yada. But stay at home, but I think the question was, would most women want to stay at home with their kids? And the panel on Loose Women, there was Colleen Nolan there earning her paycheck, because she just says, I mean, bear in mind this is her job and she's paid an obscene amount of money to sit on telly and tell her opinion, but she just goes, oh, it's all political, I can't bother with this. And that was it. So, earned a paycheck there. The blonde one on the end, I think her name's Jane, and then the others, they were all pretty much saying that it'd make it easier for women to have kids if the childcare was paid for so they could go to work. Completely ignored the topic of, do women want to stay at home with their kids, do women want to be stay-at-home mums, and went straight into the childcare and how we can make it easy for women to go back to work. I'm not saying the topic of women going back to work isn't important, and supporting women who go back to work is important, because it is. But how come every single time it's brought up about stay-at-home mums, or mums choosing to be at home, it's never ever discussed from the point of view that a woman might actually want to stay at home with their kids. It's like it's completely outlawed to say on any mainstream thing, or even suggested, that a mother might want to stay at home with the kids. Even if it's just for the first year or the first 3 years, with the infancy. It's never ever discussed like it's a black topic, like we mustn't discuss it, or like it's not even a viable thing to talk about, because of course no mother actually wants to stay home with the kids. We must discuss how she can go back into work, and how we can make going back into work easier for her. And that naffs me off, because if you're meant to have equal opportunities, or if stay-at-home mums and working mums are both equal, why can't we talk about it from both sides? Why is the fact that a mother might want to stay at home be completely glossed over, and we'll just talk about how it could be easier for her to go back to work? It's completely geared that way. I mean, how many women are on that panel? I think Linda Robson should have been on that panel, because Linda Robson probably would have said something along the lines of, even though she's a working mother herself filming Birds of a Feather, she is very family orientated, and she's an older lady, so I think she may well have said something in the lines of, women might want to stay home. So it's interesting she wasn't on the panel. But yeah, so that was my first thing. Why can't we just talk about it from the point of view? I mean, Nigel Farage is probably wrong. The majority of mums probably don't want to nowadays, but there is a massive proportion who probably do. And thinking about it, when my oldest was little, he's 14 now, be 15 this year, but when he was little we went to a playgroup, and this was, like I say, nearly 15 years ago. There was a lot of mothers who, on the topic of going back to work, they'd say, oh no, I'm not going back to work, but that's because the childcare would be so much, so it wouldn't pay for me to go back to work, so I can't really go back to work. And some of them, you knew that there was genuine, that they would like to go back to work, but they couldn't afford it. And some of them, you got the impression that they was using that as an excuse, like that was the only viable excuse to stay at home with their baby, the fact that it'd be more expensive to go to work. I look at Stayed in, I'm tired. Almost like they was having to have that as an excuse. They couldn't just openly say, no, I don't want to go back to work. And there was one lady, and bear in mind, this was 15 years ago, before the economy went to shit. She was like, oh my, I don't really want to go back to work, but my husband says it's not fair on him to shoulder all the financial responsibility, but most of my wages are going childcare anyway. And she was really torn. And I remember thinking, I mean, don't get me bloody wrong, my husband has his faults. But I remember thinking, my God, I'm glad I'm with my husband, because my husband said from the get-go, if you don't want to go back to work, you don't want to go back to work. Well, I'll sort it. Which I know not every woman has that, but yeah, and I see, making it easier for women to go back to work is good for the women that want to go back to work. The women who don't, you've took away the only viable excuse they had to persuade their husbands to stay at home, because it's no longer acceptable to just say, I want to stay home with my baby. And that's mad to me, because when we were kids, having to persuade your husband to let you stay at home with your baby would have been unheard of. I mean, this is wrong as well. I remember when my mum went back to work when I was about 4 or 5. It was a part-time job, very minimal hours. I remember my dad not being happy about it, which is wrong as well, because, you know, if you want to go back to work, you want to go back. But then again, my mum sort of had to go back to work because it was at the school. It was the only way I was going to go to school, because I had problems. But so that was my first thing. The second thing that they were talking about in this clip was in France, because the culture's very anti-children, and the birth rate's dropped, and you know, all these problems that the whole world's having. Which, you know, part of it is because it's not cool to admit you want kids. It's not cool to admit you want to be home with your baby. But anyway, the banning no kids zones, no kids places in France is what they want to do. But bearing in mind, this is the nutty country that banned homeschooling, you know, to say they're so pro children. Anyway, they were talking about that. Now, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with banning no kids spaces, because I've got 5 children. If you include my stepchildren, we've got 8 children, right? But you never see me stepchildren, because that's not my place to show them, because they're not, you know, they're stepchildren. So with 8 children, that was our decision. That's our choice to have 8 children, right? That's nobody else's choice. I don't agree with people who don't like kids going into spaces where kids are and then complaining. But if somebody who doesn't like kids, or they've done that, sorry, phone's sick of me talking. But if you've chosen to not want to be around little kids, and you've paid extra to go to a no-child restaurant, or a no-child pub, or a no-child flight, or a no-child holiday, you should be allowed to do that. You should be allowed to go to places there's no kids if you don't want to be around kids. That's your choice. Being around kids and having as many kids is my choice. What else can I talk to you about for? Because these chickens are still up, you'll notice. But I better hurry up, because I know Bod wants to check someone on the phone if he was to bed, game or something. Bod's my 9-year-old, if you don't know, but you'll know if you've been here a while. And I need to put my tired face to bed. I'm so tired. I wouldn't mind, but I'm lopsided, lot. I don't know, wrinkly, I hear that. What was I saying? No idea. Oh, yes. The other thing, Harry Potter. We're reading the books for the first time, and we're halfway through the 3rd book, and I have to say they're very good. I didn't realise how good they were, because the films are all right, but I've never really been a pothead. You know, the Harry Potter fans, you call them a pothead, don't they? Pinky's best friend, whose mum runs the home ed group round here. Well, Pinky's best friend's mum, she's a pothead. She loves Harry Potter. She had Harry Potter Lego for a birthday, and she was like 34, I think. Anyway, they've cast a black man as Snape, Professor Snape, and I can see why people are kicking off, because they want to keep it true to the books. But I actually think he might do a good job. I think we've got to give him a chance. Something about him makes me think he'd play a good Snape. And the Alan Rickman was so beautifully cast originally, and he was such a legend, and, you know, obviously passed on. You can't replace Alan Rickman. There's no point in trying. I think we should give him a chance, and that's a very controversial opinion, and I understand other people's opinions. My only problem with it is, unless they're going to rewrite a lot of the story, didn't Harry Potter's dad, I might be wrong, but didn't Harry Potter's dad and his mates bully Snape at school? and he's meant to be like a sort of sinister character, and you think he's a bad teacher until you find out his secret. You think he's a bad teacher and he's quite harsh and none of the kids like him and stuff. Is it wise to cast a black actor in that role without racial things becoming attached to it? That's my only thing. And the little girl they picked to play Hermione, she's not black, but she's of a slightly darker skin tone. I don't know what, forgive me, I don't know what background she is. There was a bit of a hoo-ha about that. For most of it, I can see people are positive, and I think she'd be a good Hermione as well. I think she looks, you know, like she'd go Fabius or Levius, or I think she'd be quite good. I do. And she's already been Matilda in the West End show. She's just used to being a child actor and working. I think they'll do good. And the lady they've picked to be Professor McGonagall, everything I've seen her in, she's been amazing and classy, and I think she's a worthwhile replacement for Maggie Smith. Anyway, I'm going to go now. You'll notice that this video was completely pointless. It didn't really have much of a point, but you know, I'll leave subs anyway, so bollocks to it. Drink on these bloody chickens in bed. I'll see you next time. If you are one of the people who's been with me for years, whether it's just on YouTube, or it's YouTube and Patreon, or YouTube and Facebook or Instagram, whatever, and I know there's a lot of you out there, and you do support me and stay with me and stuff like that. I do appreciate it. Please don't think because I'm bitching that I never get anywhere with my channel and stuff that I don't appreciate them as those of you that are already there, because I do. Anyway, I'll see you later.